Hi, friends. Julia here, recording this September 1st, 2022. And what I'm going to do is go over the language lessons of the heart for processes, because it really is a simple healing modality for emotional healing or shadow work. But I just wanted to simplify exactly what it is and let everyone know that Michael, the founder of Language Lessons of the Heart, who I've interviewed before, you can find it on my channel, the interview. He and I are going to have a mini um, workshop for Language Lessons of the Heart on Saturday, September 3rd at 10 a.m. Savannah, Georgia time. That's Eastern Daylight Time. So yeah, anybody, if you want to be a part of that, I'll put my email in the description and in the comments. So just let me know if you want to be involved in the workshop. So what I'm gonna do now is just quickly go over exactly what is entailed in Language Lessons of the Heart, also known as LLOTH. Okay, the work is simple. It should be considered very important. It could actually be life-saving for some. Emotional healing is synonymous with shadow work. We must make the unconscious conscious and replace what was automatically programmed into us with the structured antidote. So LLOTH is a 4-step process. Step 1 are the empowerments. When you're saying these empowerments, you say them all the time and you don't say any other affirmations. Michael said before that if all you do is the empowerment, it will affect your life and make changes in your emotional healing. And they're just very simple sayings. The first one is, I am empowering myself with the strong and loving intent to heal my will. And then Michael adds to that, will you help? And when I did the process, it was before he added the will you help, and I started adding in, thank you for your help. So I guess that part's optional, but the actual empowerment, I'm empowering myself with a strong and loving intent to heal my will. That's how you need to say that. And then you can also say, I want to live. Will you help? Or thank you for your help. And I want to be fulfilled. Will you help? Or thank you for your help. So that's all the empowerments are. You just say that. You say it in your head. You say it aloud. You say it all the time. And I did do that. You know, you kind of feel silly when you do some of these modalities, but they do work. So, you know, it's worth it. It's worth it because, you know, if your life's not flowing the way you want, it's probably due primarily, and it could be even physical health, to emotional healing. So those are the 3 empowerments. And again, the first one is I am empowering myself with a strong and loving intent to heal my will. The second one is I want to live. And the third one is I want to be fulfilled. I used to just kind of say those 3 together all the time. So then step 2 is emotional release. So there are many formal ways to have emotional release. The way I primarily applied this step was when I felt certain emotions, I then looked for the judgment behind it. And you'll see why I brought up the judgment in just a minute. Also, I made sure not to suppress any emotions that I was feeling, but I also was careful not to offend others in the process of expressing my emotions. So that's something to be very mindful of. You feel the emotion and then you release them. And it's really important not to confront anyone that you consider your aggressor or that's wronged you front on when you're having any kind of emotional release. It's best to give any angry tongue lashings you might have, or even if you want to just beat on a pillow or something, then that's what you do. You get a pillow or something, or go out and get a stick in the woods and hit a big rock or something, but you don't take it out on real people, whether it's verbal or physical. but you do want to release your emotions. And there are some actual workshops and stuff that are all about emotional release out there. And then the third step is the judgment and denial release. So I'll read the script for you. And every time you discover a negative judgment about yourself, you'll go through this process. So I'm going to read the script doing the process for the judgment of I'm not good enough, because so many people have that judgment. So let's see, here we go. So the first thing you do is you feel the discomfort this judgment has caused in your life. And then you say, yes, I recognize my judgment that, and you fill in the blank here, and we're going to put in, I'm not good enough. And then you say, yes, I offer loving acceptance to this judgment. And you have a short pause. And then you say, yes, I forgive myself for believing in judgment for so long. And then you say, because I no longer need or want this judgment in my life, I now offer it loving release. And then you do a big exhale. And then you see the judgment walk out or float out. And then you say, yes, and now I would like to replace this judgment with the new understandings that, and then you list 6 things to replace the judgment of I'm not good enough. And you can say, I'm more than good enough. I am a divine creator being. I am always growing and improving. I am deserving of a fulfilling life. I am an important part of creation. I deserve the best life has to offer. So that's, you just put in whatever you want to put in and the positive, and then you picture these. What does he say here? You picture these judgments, these new judgments. Sorry, you picture these new judgments walk in, float in, like you picture the judgment of I'm not good enough walking out, floating out. You picture these new judgments walking in, floating in. And then you do the same thing with the denial. And anyone who wants these written out little scripts, you can email me and I'll send them to you. They're on Facebook too, if anybody's on the Language Lessons of the Heart Facebook group. And so then you do the same thing about the denial, about the judgment, because the reason you had that judgment for so long is because you denied it was there, according to Language Lessons of the Heart. So then you do the same process. So every time you find a judgment, you do the judgment release, like I just quoted, and you do it verbatim from the scripts. And after a while, you'll get it memorized. And then you every time you find that judgment, then you do the denial release. And so the denial release, you feel the discomfort this denial of the judgment has caused in your life. And then you say, yes, I recognize my denial that I'm not good enough was my judgment. And then you say, yes, I offer loving acceptance to this denial. And take a short pause. And then you say, yes, I forgive myself for believing in denial for so long. And then you say, because I no longer need or want denial in my life, I now offer it loving release. And you do a big exhale. And then you see it walk out. And then once again, you say, yes, I now would like to replace this denial with the new understandings that, and then you put in 6 things to replace your denial. And that one you can keep the same every time you do it, so you don't have to think of 6 things to replace it with. Whereas the judgment, you have to think of 6 things for each judgment. And sometimes that's tricky because we're just so programmed to believe whatever the judgment is that we've been having about ourselves. So then we're replacing the denial with, I have to face it to fix it. Knowing leads to growing. Knowledge is power. Awareness is essential. The truth must be exposed. Acceptance of what is crucial for my healing. So there you go. That is step 3, the judgment and denial release process. And for whatever reason, that really works. You take those judgments out. I hear people say all the time how they're stupid. That's another judgment you can release. Or I don't look good enough, or I'm too this, I'm too that, or I'm not enough this, or I'm not enough that, etc. You find the judgments, and often you can find those judgments when you're going through an emotional release, but not always. So the next step, the fourth and last step of language lessons of the heart, is talking to the parts of self. You have your spirit, which is your mind, your heart, your will, which is your gut, and your body. And they need to speak to each other. And what this does is it allows you a way to love yourself. You know, some people do it by looking in the mirror and just saying, I love you to your image in the mirror. This is another way to get there. And Michael has a lot of videos where he goes into detail and even does a lot of examples of talking to the parts of self, and probably all these processes. So, like I said earlier, Michael and I are going to host a little mini workshop on YouTube live September 3rd at 10 a.m. And that's Eastern Daylight Time. He's in Savannah, Georgia. And let me know in the comments if you'd like to participate in that. And again, if you want a copy of the judgment and denial release script, then send an email. And again, I'll put the email address in the description in the comments. So thanks for listening, and I hope you have a good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. Stay focused on what you want and always help others if you can. Thanks for listening again. Ciao, ciao.